I have a small ash log here that I want to cut up on my 18-inch bandsaw, and I've already set it so that the blade guide is way into the case, so I have enough resaw height here. And because this makes a lot of dust, instead of using my normal dust bin, I've hooked something up with my dust collector that I built, and this goes where the dust normally falls from the dust bin, like so. Just got to clamp that on here, one-handed. And I've set my Raspberry Pi to take a time lapse of this, and the LED is blinking, means it's capturing. I'm doing this freehand, but I've marked a straight line for where to make the first cut, and I just did that by going through it with a circular saw. So let's see how that goes. First cut is always the hardest. Should be easier from here on. Alright, this is now actually footage from the Raspberry Pi, which I was shooting at 2 still frames per second, and at 30 frames per second that's about 15 times actual speed. This log came from a white ash tree that was cut down in my neighborhood. It fell victim to the emerald ash borer, just like all the ash trees in Ottawa, unfortunately. Most of the wood is just being discarded or ground up, which is kind of a shame because I think white ash is actually a really wonderful wood. It's a very hard wood and it's got a very distinctive grain, and I like the light color of it. If you watch carefully, you'll notice how I'm cutting much faster as the wood gets thinner. Resawing is one of the hardest things that you can do with a bandsaw. Basically, if you increase the thickness that you're resawing through by, say, 1.5 times, then it becomes at least twice as hard to do, and if you double it, it becomes 4 times harder. Sometimes people ask me about changing my bandsaw plans to increase their resaw capacity to, say, something like 18 inches, but realistically, resaw capacity is more limited by how good your bandsaw works, how good your blade is, and what kind of blade you have. And with just conventional bandsaw blades, really going beyond 12 inches is not very practical at all. Now I'm cleaning out all the sawdust because it's relatively high humidity and I don't want wet stuff in my wooden bandsaw. So here's my cut lumber, here's the slabs, and here's the mess. I had another log outside that was too large to actually practically put on my bandsaw, so I split that one into quarters with wedges, but the split line wasn't entirely clean, which is why I'm trimming it off here. And rather than cut this one into boards, I decided to cut it into, say, 4x4 sections, which is much easier on the bandsaw. I have, of course, the live edge here, and I don't like bark being left on the logs, so I'm just cutting that at an angle to get rid of all what's left of the bark. This wood will, of course, take a few years to dry enough that it's ready to use, and to keep track of that, I always write the date when I milled it on the wood. So then when I later go through the wood to decide what I'm going to use, I can see if it's presumably dry enough to use yet. They say you should give wood a year to dry for every inch of thickness, but I find sometimes it takes a lot less time than that if you keep the wood in a place where it gets lots of heat from the sun. I was at it for about an hour and a half total, and I made about 10 liters worth of sawdust, so not too bad, and I just ran out of video, so I guess I can stop talking now.